Hello and welcome back to another video. I am Mike's. I am on the road to 200 subscribers and I'm trying to hit it before the end of the year. So we are very close, so if you want to subscribe and you haven't already, please do. And yeah, make sure to like the video if you enjoy. This is your West Ham going away to Brentford. That's the preview, Brentford versus West Ham United at the G-Tech Community Stadium, a stadium where we've only won twice in pre-season and in the FA Cup. Both 1-0s and both Said Benrahma bangers. Now, Said Benrahma is getting a lot of praise for his performance against Arsenal, even though I didn't really think of all the people that actually played on that day. I thought he was probably the one that went a bit quiet. I thought that was, even someone like Naif again, I thought that was his best performance for West Ham this season. Obviously, Brentford beat the scum. They beat Chelsea. And they won more games at Stamford Bridge than Chelsea have in the last 7 months, which is hilarious. And you got to rate it. You got to rate it because I watched that game and I thought, okay, they can't defend like this for so long. But Brentford are one of the few teams that actually can just defend for the whole game and actually not get mentally tired from it. Because usually you'll see teams get stretched with quality, by quality attackers, and like the Arsenals and Man Cities and Liverpools will end up getting a goal in the end. But obviously this is Chelsea we're talking about. The only goals they really have in that team is Raheem Sterling, and he wasn't good that game either. And Brentford more than deserved to win that match. Because even when they had few attacks, their counter-attacks were more dangerous than Chelsea's attacks in general. They don't really have a striker up front. Jackson's still young. This is his first season. Probably should be given more of a chance, but he doesn't look like in terms of playing style a striker. A lot. There's someone said inside forward, maybe on the left. I don't know what he was like at Villarreal. I just know that Bournemouth tried to sign him and he failed his medical because of his injury, and they didn't want to take the chance. I think that was in January. But we're getting a bit off topic. The G-Tech Community Stadium's, I think, a new stadium. I don't remember much of Griffin Park. I think that was their old stadium. I just remember the first time I watched Brentford was like the back end of the season when they got promoted, because I like to watch I like to watch the Championship when I can, and especially around the back end, you get to see like who's next up kind of thing. You always hear like Ivan Toney's name was brought up a lot because he was linked with us. Rico Henry was linked with us before. Obviously, Rico Henry and Ivan Toney won't play this game. I've been praising Rico Henry for a few years now, but just not publicly. I've always thought that Rico Henry was a bit underrated, and we struggle with consistency at left backs in terms of England. So I reckon he should be a candidate, because Luke Shaw and Chilwell aren't consistent enough. And Ivan Toney's got his ban. He's coming back in like January. Probably won't be fully fit, but I think he's allowed to train now since September. I think he's been allowed to train. Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of talk of him going in January. I don't think he will go in January. I don't think there's any point. I think Brentford will ask for a bigger price in January, because obviously mid-season players don't want to sell clubs don't want to sell their best players. So he will go for, despite being 1 year left on his contract in the summer, like next summer, I genuinely think he'll still go for a big price, and I think he's probably third, or actually, is he third best striker in the league or second now? Because Kane's left, and we've got Haaland. I'm trying to think top of my head. Liverpool got, as in strikers, Nunes. I'm not counting Salah as a striker. I know he's technically okay, but he's going to be put more in a winger list, isn't he? Arsenal got Jesus and Nketiah. Tony's better than both of them as a striker. Man United, they've got Rasmus Højlund. Should be given more of a chance, like Nicholas Jackson, his first time in the Premier League, and he's still young. But Ivan Toney's better. Tottenham have Richarlison. I know they're playing Son up there now, but Richarlison was their striker, I guess, Son. But Ivan Toney as a number 9 is still better as a number 9. Newcastle, Callum Wilson. Yeah, so Ivan Toney's second best probably. He's better than Watkins for me. I think he's a bit more consistent. Has more to his game than Watkins. Watkins is very good at dragging out defenders. Great movement. He can even run down the channels. He can take it on both feet, and very good at running behind and finishing. Ivan Toney can do everything, in my opinion. Everything, legit everything. The guy is not, just because he's tall doesn't mean he's not fast. Like, he's not lightning quick, but he's quick enough. He's strong. He's got link up play, and even with I remember, if you guys remember, at the start of the season, I did my West Ham fan like preview show where I previewed all the teams, and Brentford. One of my main talking points was a lot of people are going to have Brentford a bit below because they don't have Ivan Toney, and they probably think that their whole way of playing is gone. Well, Visser and then Boomer have stepped up, and I knew they would. And you saw that at the back of the last season when Tony got banned, like for the few games that Tony was banned for, and in Boomer, I think he scored quite a few against us. I remember Johan Wissa scoring against us in that home game when they first got promoted. That was a traumatic game to watch because they were very good at, slowing the game down and taking long to take throw-ins and stuff like that. They're very annoying to play at home. They're very annoying to go to. Thomas Frank has done amazing. I don't think he should go to a bigger club because I think just stick to what, like, if it's going good, don't stop. I know that also means that your stock will be higher if you're doing good, but I don't think he needs to leave. I think they gave him a new contract, and I just think, why would he leave? Why would he leave? Honestly, why would you leave Brentford? Because when you go to like a top six club, for example, like, it's very like different. Where you have to deal with a lot more egos. You have to deal with a lot more like media stuff, and there's a bit more pressure on you to win now, rather than at Brentford. There's not necessarily a pressure for you to win. There's not really pressure in the Premier League. He's overachieving. He now this is a sign of overachieving because they're Brentford that nobody expected them to come in the Premier League and even stay up. They have overachieved. Not the fucking Arsenal, which are overachieving by going second. If you're talking overachievement, that's Brentford. And they're ambitious as well. They want to beat every team. They feel like they could go to the Etihad and win, go to Anfield and win and stuff like that. They've gone to the Etihad and won. It's very hard to win at Anfield. It's very hard to win at the Etihad, but Anfield's a different breed of stadium. And they're very ambitious. Like, I remember Pontus Jansson was a pundit for the Brentford-Tottenham game last season at the Tottenham Stadium, where they won like 3-1 or something. And I just remember Pontus Jansson saying, like going to City and winning, like in a meeting, he's like, yeah, we could go and win. And they were looking at each other like, what? But you believe because he believes. That's what Thomas Frank is like, and that's what you want. When you're a club that's not in a big six, you want to have a manager that's just a bit more ambitious and, give it a go. And Brentford give it a go in their own way. They still attack, but they just have their own way of doing it. They actually prefer, like, almost perfected the art of defending with the players they've had, because what they do, especially in the Chelsea game, you'll see this as a great example, is that if you're going away from home to a mad stadium, like even Stamford Bridge. I know a lot of teams have won there recently, but it's still a hard place to go in general. They set up in a 5-3-2 and they cut off all the lines. But when they get to the edge of the box, they don't just sit deep. They then close you down, because what happens every time a team just sits deep and they get to the edge of the box, you'll see that a shot will get taken and it will get deflected and it will go in. That's why City just plant Rodri on every edge of the box on every time. But yeah, it's going to be hard for us to go there. We've not won at the G-Tech Community Stadium. We've not won against Brentford in the Premier League in general. If you think about it, our first home game against them was a 2-1 win. They deserved to win. Then it was a 2-0 win for them, a 2-1 win for them. The game at their stadium was a 2-0 win. Zuma to come off. Issa Diop had a howler that game. The next season we faced them up. That was the second game after the World Cup. We lost to Arsenal, we went to Brentford, and we lost 2-0 again. And we were awful that night. And they outplayed us. And I'm pretty sure even Thomas Frank expected us to be better. He said something like that. That might have been a different game, but and then they beat us. I know we played a bit of a second team for the game last year at their stadium, but because we were training for Alkmaar away, but they beat us 2-0 again, and Naya Faged had a howler that game, and Naya Faged played well, and despite Brentford's team not even being the tallest, they could all leap as well. Our record against them is terrible. We need to fix that immediately. We've done it against Brighton, but Brighton are way more open and stuff like that. I think if we're lucky, we might get a goal. Like, I know the only goal we didn't score was against Everton, but that was very recent. We don't break down teams because we don't coach that way. We don't coach on the ball because we might have a lot more of the ball. I know it's at their ground, but we might have a lot more of the ball obviously compared to what we did against Arsenal. And you struggle to think, what are we as a team? Because I know that Arsenal win was fantastic, but I was happy because of that night. It doesn't change my view on the whole scale of West Ham in general. And to be honest with you, I don't see a win happening. I see a loss again. I see a 2-0 loss probably again. And it'll be a disgraceful loss. And the way we approach games, we either sit deep or we don't counter-attack properly. You barely see games like Arsenal at home the other day. Or we get possession and we do nothing with it. So we'll see. We're actually not that far behind the teams that we should be competing with in terms of points. But it's still the start of the season. That can change any time now. That gap, once that gap even gets to 6 points, it's fucked for us to catch up to like the likes of Newcastle, Brighton and Villa. And we're trying to catch up with them. But I can't believe we're below Manchester United. Like, we shouldn't be. Because Man United are having a howler. This is our best chance to get above these teams. Like, Chelsea will probably lose to Tottenham. We'll still probably be above Chelsea. But that's not saying much because of what Chelsea are doing this season. But I have no confidence. Obviously, Lucas Paquetá and Edson Alvarez are also out for this game, but luckily Emerson is back. You saw what it's like to have a left-back at Arsenal compared to what it's not to like have a left-back against Everton with the Scouser playing at left-back. So I think that I'm going to predict what Moyes will do. I'm assuming Zuma wasn't injured, he was just rested. So I'm going to assume it's going to be Ariola, Soufal, Zuma again, and let's say Mavropanos comes in if Zuma's somehow injured again. And then Emerson at left back. It'll probably be Souček and Ward-Prowse, the most unbalanced midfield, but we don't have another number 6, another holding midfielder. Then it should be Kudus, Paquetá, Benrahma, Bowen. But I have a feeling it will be Paquetá, Kudus, Bowen, Antonio. I think Antonio needs to be dropped for this game. Unfortunately, it's just not the same Antonio we're getting. We're not getting the same Antonio, and that's fine because he's been here for 9 years. He might have to play a sub role. He might not want that, but that's life. That's football. But that's how I think. I don't know how they're going to line up because they rotate a bit, and I'm going to assume they'll go 4 at the back because they're at home. Sometimes they go 4-3-3. Sometimes they go 5-3-2 or 3-5-2. But anyway, hopefully we win. We probably won't, but we're away from home, so that gives me the least confidence. Make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're new. My social medias are GVO Mikes on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.